As you get ready to head to bed tonight, consider this on this Friday night. More than 1,200 children in Florida were removed from their homes last month.
More than 1,200 unable to sleep in their own beds. They were removed by welfare workers looking into allegations of child abuse and neglect. A child welfare attorney we spoke with today says those crimes are often underreported. And
many are asking why no one reported 5-year-old Taylor Williams being allegedly left alone until after she disappeared.
Hey. Hi. Taylor's mother, Brianna Williams, is tonight out of a coma after trying to commit suicide. She's under arrest facing child neglect charges.
And those charges filed after a neighbor told police he saw the 5-year-old just wandering alone on more than one occasion. Robert Bradfield is on your side tonight, looking into the Florida law that requires you to notify law enforcement if you suspect a child is being abused or neglected.
Horribly underreported. They always have been.
Attorney Jay Howell says while reporting suspected child abuse and neglect is mandatory for adults under Florida law, those calls don't happen enough.
It's just not something that everybody gravitates to easily.
In part, he says, because the abuse and neglect often occur at home, out of public view. And Howell believes most people don't know this Florida statute and never call the state's abuse hotline.
We want people to call because what the call produces is an intervention by either investigators from the Department of Children and Families or the local sheriff or other law enforcement agent.
Florida's Department of Children and Families keeps records of how many hotline calls are reported each month. For October, there were more than 28,000 calls statewide, with 1,543 coming from Duval County alone. Howell founded the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and has tried more than 50 cases involving sex crimes and child abuse. He says if people truly want to make a difference, they must get over their fear of being the one to make the phone call.
It's not easy for a citizen to pick up the phone and call that number. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what the rules are.
And in Georgia specifically, there is a similar reporting procedure. Anyone with, quote, regular access to children is required to report abuse. That includes teachers, doctors, social workers, and police officers. Also tonight, we are waiting the autopsy results to reveal whether those child's remains found in the woods in Alabama are those of Taylor Williams. And when those are complete, we will, of course, let you know. Robert Bradfield, First Coast News, on your side.